Oh, hey guys, so this is the new Afterwork special. I'm here with my lovely little big sister.
Hi!
And we are going to do a bit of a delayed reaction, I guess, or reaction video to my coming out. First, just give me a second. Okay. A little better. So yeah, we grew up together, obviously. We shared a room for, oh god, like until we were like 6 or something, like.
Something like that. I think.
Well, until I was 6. She's
we've
older.
been in grade 5.
Yeah. So yeah, we had bunk beds and stuff.
8
and,
or 9.
Yeah. Lived in a little trailer park. It was something. And now we live together. Now we're roommates. So.
Yeah.
Because, well, you know, a lot of people have to be roommates in this economy, so it is what it is. But I don't know, I like living with my sister. I think we've always had a pretty good relationship, except for a few years when we were both, like, preteen, teen.
No one gets along during that period.
No, and now that I'm going through my second puberty, I don't know, things are going well. But I guess we should get into it with some of the questions, and I guess what would have been like your initial reaction to me coming out, because we would have grown up together with you as having a brother for like 24 years or whatever. So like, what was that like, I guess, to
well, honestly, what I remember most was you coming home or whatever and saying, "Oh, I have some news." And my first thing thought was, well, clearly this is the pre-pregnant, I got someone pregnant talk. And then it wasn't. And I was just like, oh, well, you're a girl? Well, at least I guess you aren't having to wrestle with the idea of an unwanted child, so I guess that's great.
Thankfully, I was wrestling with something else.
And then after that, once, like, thinking about it, it just kind of seemed to make sense. I don't know, it's not like I expected it, but it was definitely not as unexpected of a thing, surprisingly.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah. And I would say that it wouldn't be, like, out of the realm of possibility, you know, like, who I was back then, you know, it wouldn't have been out of the realm of possibility that your first thought would have been, like, oh no, unwanted pregnancy coming? Because, like, I'll be honest, it's like...
That's the first cliche thing one says.
Yeah, especially in, like, my early 20s, you know, when you say something like, oh, I have something to tell you, and I was kind of like a playa back, like, I feel bad about it kind of now, but, like, you know, I was going through a thing where I grew up as kind of like an ugly duckling, and then I went to university, and all of a sudden people were finding me attractive and stuff, so it was a very weird and different thing, and I kind of just rolled with it until I started growing up a little bit, I guess. Like, you know, your brains aren't fully formed at that age. Like, it takes a while. So I guess next would be, like, was there anything that you did find difficult to adjust to, or, like, because I mean, from my perspective, you didn't seem to have any trouble with the pronouns. I know, like, our mom did for a little bit, but...
Obviously, that was the most difficult thing. I don't know, just the language changed, because you do slip of the tongues, because you're used to saying one thing one way your whole life.
Exactly.
But, I mean...
And this way,
I don't know. There was nothing particularly... I didn't find it difficult for me. I can't imagine it would have been easy for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, from my perspective, nothing much changed personality-wise and everything. It just seemed like you were more yourself, or you were happier being yourself, or you were more authentic, so...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It
wasn't... Yeah.
I also...
Difficult is not a thing. I found it to be.
Okay. And I also kept my, my birth name, which, I know it's not a very common, thing, with a lot of people going through transition. I happen to have a very, unisex name. it's, I mean, if you go to, Israel, then you might find a fair number of, men named Adriel, but, I don't know,
It sounds feminine,
Yeah.
I think, to an English-speaking tongue. It sounds like a feminine sort of name,
yeah.
I think.
It took me like years to get used to it, because I used to get teased for my name all the time, but now like I actually like it. I enjoy my name.
Clearly the name you're meant to have.
Exactly. My middle names I will be changing. I mean, I mentioned that before, and I'm in the process of doing it the next couple months, so I just gotta like pay some more fees and go down to the government and do it, but yeah. Do you find that there was any like significant changes in the relationship dynamic that we had, would you say, or was it mostly similar?
I don't know. I think the dynamic was more complicated or strained when you were
Before I was
kind of
out
playing at a guy,
yeah.
playing at being a dude.
Well, what
you know?
she described it actually like about a week ago. We've been rewatching Hannibal. That was on the Hannibal series that was on NBC, and she described it as my person suit. Like,
yes, it was your person
it was,
suit.
like-
You were playing roles of various males throughout your life, and
Yeah.
I remember different movies of where there was a character that spoke to you or that you looked up to. You would start to emulate them, and that would become part of your man suit. If you were
Yeah.
trying things on, and I know everybody goes through life sort of when you're young, you try on different things that you see from adults or from characters in TV shows or whatnot, but like it was more so of it felt like a thing, like you couldn't just be yourself.
Yeah.
So I felt like in a way that I didn't really quite get to know who you were until you were my sister.
Yeah.
Which made a big difference, I think.
I think that's also true with a lot of like friends and acquaintances I had, where I've had the experience of people thinking that or feeling that I was like creepy or weird, and a lot of it was because like I do feel it's because that they sensed that I was being untruthful or holding back or like keeping something hidden. Like people can sort of sense that, and I think that's what they picked up on when I wasn't even picking up on it.
Yeah, of
right?
course.
So
It's subconscious.
yeah. So it yeah. And I guess the only big question is like what is it like now, having a sister versus having a brother previously? Like, is it...
I always wanted a sister when I was
Aw.
younger, so I'm perfectly happy with how things turned out.
Me
Very
too.
selfishly.
It's also really awesome because we are like, I think there's exactly a foot of difference between us.
Yeah,
in height.
exactly
a foot. But there are some clothes that like we can share and stuff. Like our mom just got her it was a beautiful Michael Kors jacket for Christmas. Oh my god, amazing! But it was just slightly too big.
Everywhere, just
Yeah,
slightly too big,
and-
everywhere.
But for me, it fit perfectly. Shoes are something that we obviously cannot do.
No.
Luckily though, for me, I didn't really change a shoe size much. I mostly stayed the same. Some I go up about a half size depending on what I need. Heels are worse because my feet are a little bit wider, and heels are always like ungodly narrow. So
Even the wide.
the
You can
wide.
get women's in wides, but they're still, yeah.
Yeah. Like I think our relationship has definitely improved a lot. I'm a lot more open in
I would say
general
so.
now. I'm a lot
Not-
more in tune with like who I am, and like I'm basically the same. I have all the same interests and all the same like.
Yeah, like that way, the only things that really have changed significantly that I've seen are like the things that one does in life that are gendered, if you were.
Yeah.
Like everything else is, well,
It's like the same basic stuff stays the same, but like all like the gender stuff, like obviously my clothes, I got a whole new wardrobe, like I'm actually like a little bit into makeup now, things like that, like it's funny though because like even though like gender and sexuality they're related, but they're not the same thing, and they're not to be conflated. But when I was about 16, like I was like 100% sure, like I figured out early that I was bi, but I like repressed that really hard. And now,
Wow.
until I came out, and now, like, things are different. Oh, that's my alarm. The kitty cat, he's been like playing with my stuff, and so sometimes he gets up on my desk and he like bats things around, and he set my alarm. He set my alarm clock. So I'm gonna go shut it off, and we'll be right back. Yeah, and I guess the last real thing is like before I started on hormones, because I went full time for like 3 years before I started on hormones.
Yeah. And
during that period, like I would get a lot of like, not a lot, but I would get like a fairly reasonable amount of like cis envy from you, which like
fair.
It is what it is. Like especially when it came to like, it was weird because when we moved here, you know, because I didn't have the things, you know, I was wearing a bra every day, 24/7, things like that. And the weirdest thing is, like, almost every guy who was interested in me during that period, and even up to recently, was like, at one point, was into you first, or was like, or saw you like at my work to like come pick me up or something,
yeah,
and then like mentioned to me later that like they thought you were super attractive, and like, so like I kind of had that envy thing of like, oh no, why don't they think I'm attractive? But like, no, it's cool, it's different. It's just like a little, like a simple envious thing. I didn't actually like you know, resent you for this. It's just kind of like, you know, I kind of wish I had what you had, you know?
Clearly you did, though, because if they liked both of us, that means that there was something similar that we both have that they picked up on.
That is very true.
I mean, I know the initial reaction, of course, is to be like, it makes sense. Everybody would be like, oh, God,
yeah.
You know, like, ugh.
When it's like, oh no,
it's so unfair, of course.
Of course they like the hot friend. Like,
yeah,
that's the kind of mentality that was going through my head at the time. But
yes, because you were just getting used to sort of looking the way you want and being who you want to be.
And treated how I want to be treated
exactly.
Like, by
and
other
you were
people.
still trying to figure that out
Yeah.
going through this transformation. Mm-hmm. So of course there was that kind of dynamic. I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah.
Like it was rough going for me sometimes at first. Like 3 years no hormones was, for me personally, I know there are many people who transition without hormones, and that's entirely fine. For me personally, I really wanted them, but it was kind of a talk to your mom, talk to your dad situation where like I went to my psychiatrist and he said, go to this clinic. And I went to the clinic and they said, oh, we're all full up, so go talk to your psychiatrist and give him to get you a referral. And I went to him and he said, oh, did you try the clinic? Like, it was like 3 or 4 times back and forth like that until he finally wrote me the referral. So yeah, I spent 3 years kind of in limbo wearing like, I didn't have breast forms. I just had like extra breast, like bra padding that I would just stuff the shit out of them. And sometimes they, you know, I was working, sometimes one fell out. Like I had a really embarrassing time once where one of my managers, she actually saw one on the floor. And it was like, she was like, oh, what is this? And I was like, oh God, that's my boob.
Yeah.
And she had this mortified expression on her face, like, but like, yeah, but no longer, so they're all real.
Yay!
Yay! But anyway, that has been our delayed reaction video. So I hope you guys liked it, hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, maybe we'll do another one of these sometime about whoever knows. Yeah,
perhaps,
once in a while.
Yeah.